Hello, my name is Shane Muller and welcome to this presentation. Today, I'm going to introduce to you SafeWatch and talk about a platform that's designed to enhance the human aspect of mental health care. What this is a whole of community technology platform that enables the building of safe care communities. Now, before I start, I will say this. There's a very powerful statement made by the WHO, the World Health Organization, that says that there is no health without mental health. And that's a very powerful reminder to every single one of us that we need to really elevate the importance of mental health over so many other things, because that is a deciding factor really to most people's health and well-being. Now, let's talk about Asia and mental health. In Asia, there are about 450 million people who reported to have suffered from a mental health challenge. Now, we'll highlight this. That's the number of people who've actually been reported or diagnosed. And we all know that there's usually a lot more than that. This number of 450 million has been growing roughly at a 15% year-on-year rate. With reference to the type of impact, it impacts young people, it impacts middle-aged people in the workplace, it impacts elderly people. It doesn't discriminate based on region, and it doesn't discriminate based on the age. And unfortunately, for most locations around the world, and certainly in Asia, the hospital systems are at max capacity to address this genuine challenge of mental well-being. In addition to that, I also want to highlight loneliness. According to the World Health Organization, they too highlighted that loneliness is a global and serious health concern. 1 in 4 people on the planet, that's over 2 billion people on our planet, are reported to be suffering or struggling from loneliness. And there is research that shows that those who struggle with loneliness, there's a direct relationship to mental wellness challenges, over 4.6 times a chance of struggling from severe depression, anxiety, etc. So these two elements of loneliness is genuinely linked to someone's mental well-being. And what we're trying to do is ensure that people are not living in this isolated, lonely manner, which impacts, as I mentioned before, young people, middle-aged people, and elderly people. It impacts every type of person on the planet. So what are we doing? We're using technology to support people to help build care communities and help them through this lifelong journey of well-being. What we're not trying to do is create something where a human being can get stuck or addicted or engrossed in technology. The reason being is research shows that when someone is engrossed in technology, there's less human interaction. So what we're trying to do is enhance the human element of care. Now, what have we done and how have we done this? We have founded everything with SafeWatch on what we call the village approach. Another way of describing it is a care community. There's research that was originally carried out in the UK, but it has been replicated in other nations now, that shows that when people live in a care community or in a support group or in a village, their speed to recovery, if they're struggling for mental wellness, is almost 90% faster. There's also research that says that when someone lives in this village concept, the chance of them falling down, or shall I say another way, the chance of them staying buoyant is increased quite significantly. So what we're trying to do here is help people build these various contextual villages with people in their world. It could be care community providers, could be counselors, it could be their children, friends, social workers, etc. Various types of people all coming together to form what we call this village around a person to provide this support. Who uses this today? The short answer is everybody. If I was to pick the individual aspects here, number 1, it's designed for an individual. Any person, whether they are on the up and doing well scale, average or on the bottom end of the scale. It's actually designed for any person because statistics show us that people don't tend to stay up all the time. They do change. Second, it's actually designed for mental health professionals. Mental health professionals specifically, unfortunately, have a broken up system. And what I mean by that is if you see 3 mental health professionals or health professionals, most of the time they look at data in a very siloed or isolated manner. And what we're doing here is breaking down those silos and showing one view to all health practitioners. Then the other 2 aspects are carers. There are professional carers, those who are paid like caseworkers, etc. And then there's relational carers, friends, neighbors, siblings, etc. These carers are a very, very powerful force. And what we have seen from our research, when people are struggling from mental wellness challenges, even they lose motivation and the will to get up and do anything. However, one of the most powerful armies behind them are the carers in their world. And our research has shown that the price the carers will pay is significantly higher sometimes than the person who's struggling themselves. So that's a very powerful force that we have ensured that we incorporate, because carers play a significant part with someone's mental wellness journey. Now, what does a technology allow someone to do and see? Very simplistically, it allows someone to have a self view on themselves. It's like looking at the mirror every day. If you were not able to look at the mirror every day, in time, you would lose touch on how you actually would look in the physical context. Same thing here is it's a reflection of how you're feeling every day. It could be multiple times a day for those who need that, but it's a mirror, a regular mirror for increasing one's self-awareness. Because without self-awareness, there's not much someone will do or can do. Self-awareness is a very critical and first step with reference to addressing any ups and downs in someone's world. Additionally, not only can someone capture their own observations, but everyone in their entire village has an opportunity to share their view on how someone's going. So if I was to meet a social worker carer and a friend or a neighbor, each of them, every time they see me, can rate on a scale of 1 to 10 their observations on how I'm going. And that, together with how I see myself, forms this very powerful view, because it helps show any blind spots. It also helps someone to see that the fact that every time they're with their neighbors, they're doing quite well, but every time they're with their families, they're not doing quite well, as one particular example. So this visual depiction of how someone is going is a very, very critical step with reference to awareness. Going one step further, you can share activities and do certain things to do from a physical point, social point, emotional point, and simply well-being. You can do activities with people in your village. And we have found through research that when someone shares and does activities with people in this village that they build, they end up having these accountability partners. And as soon as there's an accountability partner, an accountability buddy, the chance of someone sticking to it is significantly increased. Now, why a village approach? As I mentioned prior, isolation is an absolute killer when it comes to mental wellness. And what we have found through our research is building your care community, your support group early, before it's desperately needed, is the best and the most proactive thing somebody can do. Building it once a critical situation hits sometimes is a little bit too late, because that's the emergency point. But building and maintaining this village is very, very critical. It allows someone to actually essentially solicit and then work with the scaffolding of their care world, in a sense. 2 other technology differentiators when it comes to the platform. There are a significant number of apps today on the marketplace, probably over 20,000 apps in this space. Most of them do one thing. They could be for sleep, for yoga, for meditation, for breathing, or what have you. And all in themselves are very, very powerful. What we have found from the market research is people are seeking one comprehensive platform or tool to do all the things instead of having 5 or 6 or 10 different apps that individually does something different. So we have created this comprehensive tool, and with that comprehensiveness comes this one single pane of glass for someone's mental well-being. The third unique differentiator, we have created something that's going to disrupt the entire health sector. When it comes to technology aspect, we have unique IP and the ability to create a user account, have them register, and then once they're registered, the mold is shattered. Now, what that means is nobody else can access or get into somebody's account. So if somebody signs up, they decide who they want to invite into their village and what they want to share. They might want to share their feelings. They might want to share their medication adherence. They might want to share their activities they do, etc. They decide. There is no one even within SafeWatch that can access who users are. So if there is a user of a high profile nature using SafeWatch, we wouldn't even be able to identify who they are, number one. Number two, we wouldn't be able to access the data. It is designed in a way so that there is no person within our organization from an administrative point that can access any data. And from the research we've done, we haven't found any technology platform that can claim the global administrators cannot get access to the data, which is exceptionally disruptive. And it also delivers peace of mind to someone that their health data is in their control. Today, we actually have SafeWatch in traditional Chinese, and in the not near distant future, we'll be launching SafeWatch in simplified Chinese as well. And with that, I will end here and say thank you for your time. Do try and download the app, test it out. Do come and visit us at the expo. We will be there on between 21 and 24 November. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chang, for sharing with us how SafeWatch serves as a comprehensive platform to provide mental health care. Hello, Chang.
Hello.
Hello. Let's take a look at the questions raised by the audience. The first question is, can you briefly explain how the village approach works step by step in your app? Any success stories from your clients to share using the app too?
Absolutely. The village concept, as a matter of fact, that concept was initially created or researched back in the UK, which is what we've adopted. The element of the village is to ensure people are not alone or not isolated. Now, what we are not trying to do is create this massive followership or groups of friends similar to social media platforms. But instead, we're helping people use the app to build what we call trusted connections. And trust would be based on who you would want to know if you're struggling. Now, most people would not go and plaster that all over social media and advertise if they're struggling. It's a very private topic. So what we have built is this ability for people to build a connection, a village, and share not just the highlights of their life, but also the lowlights. There's 3 types of people we have found that make up a very good village. Number one, people who know you. So it could be one's trusted friends or family based on what they feel. Number 2, people who can help you. Some people have a mental health practitioner, a well-being counselor, a school support person, whatever it may be. So a person who can help you. It could be a third-party care service provider. And the third type of person that makes up a good village is someone who gets you. Now, this last one is actually quite critical because we have found through our research that people of every generation, one of the most common frustrations they have is that no one else gets how they are. No one else has gone through the same thing or is going through the same thing. So you're having this ability to connect with other people who've gone through the same thing or who are experiencing the same thing is actually very, very powerful. Now, to answer your second part, which is any success stories, we have had, I'll give you two, maybe a couple of stories. One is we had a health practitioner say to us that when they go and see a patient, there's a lot of responsibility. They call it the burden of care sits on their shoulders. And that is quite a heavy burden on their shoulders, and they see many patients. And they have turned around to us and said, now with SafeWatch, they can actually enlist the village around the person that they are providing care for and work with the village, because the village, these people in that person's world, is with them all the time, not once every 3 weeks or once every 4 weeks or whatever the frequency that the health practitioner sees them. So they may still have their overall responsibility, but they can actually now work with their village and know that if they're doing certain activities, they can do that with other people that can hold them accountable to do certain things to keep them buoyant and mentally well. A second example, we had somebody who has used this app turn around and say, now with the app, because it was hard to get this person who is struggling, a family member, to constantly share how they're feeling because they didn't actually want to share. It was a trigger question. But what they found was the person, it's easy to have them, instead of sharing, just open it up and tick a button and say, this is how I'm feeling. And what that meant for this household, they didn't have to constantly have this friction conversation about how you're going today, how you're going today, how you're going today. But instead, they knew exactly how they were going today at any moment, live, without this tension conversation all the time. So that's just two examples of what we've had as some positive feedback around the app, the platform, and the village.
Thank you. I believe the village approach is actually building a stronger network among people and enhancing the connectedness among individuals who use it. All right, let's look at the second questions. Apart from individuals, how organizations can be benefited in subscribing your app?
Very good question. It's important that organizers do use this app. So first and foremost, the app is designed to help build, as I mentioned, these villages. Now, if I am going to work for a company, ABC, and ABC uses this app, what I can do is I can scan the QR and join the organization as well. And we've been working on SafeWatch for the workplace, which is the organization or the company version. And we have several clients now piloting it. And it is available in its bare essence today. But what happens is now the organization is able to go show me all of my staff and how the aggregate data of all the staff are feeling. But it won't show them who. It won't actually show the name. The identity is still very private, but it groups all the data to show this is how we're tracking today as an organization. We have 300 staff. Everyone's a 3, and last month everyone was a 2 or an 8. So it'll actually show them quite dynamically. What it also allows organizations to do whenever they have a major event, a major meeting, an announcement, they're able to then and there go, what's the pulse of the entire organization? How does everyone feel about this? The third thing with reference to organizations, it allows people to separate how they're feeling personally, because they can track their feelings, but they also are able to share how they are experiencing work, which is different to how they're personally going, but how are they at work and how was their work week this week? And if it was up, middle, or down, how was it? And what was it related to, that score? Was it related to leadership? Was it related to workload or management, etc.? So that's on the work aspect. I will go one step further as well with reference to care service providers. We've had a lot of positive feedback from care service providers because a lot of them have to capture a lot of data for compliance, which is important. Number one. And number two, being able to capture how the person that they're being a caregiver to is very, very important, especially when staff change. because there's no history. So now care service providers, there can be 5 care service providers going and providing service to one person. All of them will actually have one view of how the patient's going, or the person that they're giving care to. It could be a middle-aged person, it could be an elderly person, it doesn't really matter. If it's an elderly person, they could be doing wound dressing. If it's a middle-aged, it doesn't really matter, but everyone has their view and they can capture how that person's going, which paints a very rich picture. Then the closest friends and family are also able to go, this is how everyone is seeing my parent or my best friend who I had to leave because I'm in another country, but they're actually able to see, not just rely on the best friend to tell them how they're going, but how is everyone in their world seeing them.
So it benefits not only individual, but also from an organization perspective, it also gives some insights to the people inside. Okay, let's take a look at the third questions. Is the app designed elderly friendly, suitable for clients with dementia to use it, is it?
The app is designed for adults. We haven't gone specifically to design any changes for dementia today. However, we're actually running some tests with elderly people and getting some feedback on what to change. For example, size of the fonts and colors and text. There's a few minor tweaks. So we've started to gather feedback. As a matter of fact, we're inviting feedback right now from different demographic groups. And based on that feedback, we're triaging what changes we make. But I will say this, the current version is designed for adults, but where we have some focus groups and working groups that feed what we should change around the technology platform. I'll also go one step further. We've spoken to some care providers who have said their customer group, the elderly group, are not technology savvy. So making it more friendly won't help because they have never used technology. This is a very unusual type of group. And so they looked at this and they still came back to us and provided feedback and saying, even if the elderly person does not use it, if everyone in their world uses it, it still provides a very rich view on how the person's going still.
Thank you for your response. Let's see one more question. Have you encountered clients who do not want to build up their village or reveal their emotional status? Any features from SafeWatch that can provide assistance to this group too?
That's a very good question. So our initial research when we set out to build this platform 4 years ago, we found that people had a genuine mistrust of technology companies. Very simply. People knew that if they use something, the data is going to be there. They'll be used to market or sell something like that. And most people around the world do know a lot of people's digital data is captured, and every business deals with it differently. Some are aware of it, some are not aware of it. So that led us to build something whereby nobody, even within our organization, can ever see the data. That is actually quite unique, whereby to say your own administrative, your tech staff can't access data is very, very unique. If someone loses their login, they can't call us and ask for help because we don't have a back door or we don't have a master key to actually get into the data. The closest thing to this, it would be similar to a Bitcoin. If you lose your password, there's nobody to call. There's no master key if you lose your Bitcoin credentials, your access. So we created something whereby we wanted to have nobody within our organization to have access to the data, nor have access to a directory of users. So we don't know today if the Prime Minister of Australia uses SafeWatch. Now, if he does, we'll be saying that's good, but we don't even have a way to find out. So there's two elements. There's no directory for visibility, A. B, there's no way in to someone unless they share the QR and allow me in or allow someone else in, which is a very, very critical aspect. And what we have found, because of this high privacy capability, the trust factor of using this has actually been very well received. I'll also go one step further. There is no ability for even an organization to force their way in or into someone's profile. There's no way to market their way into the profile. The only way is if the individual allows someone in. And that's a very, very critical thing, because we've found the trust factor. As a matter of fact, because of that, we have found people embrace it, because they can very easily say, no, I don't want to share my journals with you, but I'll share my activities with you. If I'm taking medication, I'll share my medication only with my pharmacist and no one else, etc. So they literally have their own control of who sees what within this. And I will go one step further. It's very unfortunate in our whole world today that there's a huge increase of cybercrime. It's happening at a staggering rate. Companies with massive multi-billion-dollar budgets have been breached, and data has been leaked all over the world. And it unfortunately is going to be a matter of time before mental wellness technology platforms data is breached. And that, unfortunately, is going to lead to some catastrophic outcomes, because no one would want this to be exposed. You know, if your driver's license is exposed, you can always get another one. If your credit card's exposed, you can get another one. And there's insurance to cover it. But your private thoughts and journals and medication and your mental wellness journey is not there to be paraded all over the dark web. That is why we made this step to create something so disruptive whereby no one actually can access the data.
It does take time and efforts to work on these aspects. Let's see the next questions. How SafeWatch can help the younger generation with special needs, for example, depression or social phobia, while they may be able to seek comfort or solution in other different social platforms?
That's a great question, and we're running pilots with some young people because we're in the process of readying SafeWatch for youth. Now, I will say this. SafeWatch is not an alternative to social media platforms. Most social media platforms, their KPIs are more followers, more friends, more likes, more listening time, watching time, etc. They're not the KPIs we have. And one key reason is we have found when people start to spiral down this dangerous well of depression and mental wellness challenges, two things happen. Isolation increases in their world, and the use of technology increases in their world. We have found that most tech is actually bad tech, because it's very hard to go and spend 5 or 6 hours on technology and walk away and go, life is amazing. It's very hard to find that with technology. Most technology seems to draw someone in, and then it also has this thing whereby it numbs you and you sort of forget how much time you've spent on it. It just lures you in. So we've very carefully created SafeWatch so that it is non-addictive, because otherwise we will be just another technology thing that's fighting to get time and life out of individuals. And our young people, very specifically, this is the world they've grown up with. They've not had any alternative to know any different. It is normal for them. So that's the first part with reference to the social media. The second part, we have found that many young people have said, I'll never show this with my friends. I'll only show this with these people. And in our research, we found with their friends, there's different type of friends. And it's amazing the power a friend has, and they can say something, and it could spiral a child with shame, or it's called bullying, etc. And it unfortunately leads to many young people choosing to exit life. They're very, very sensitive. So what we have found is the young person is able to find those who they really trust. It could be a family member, it could be a psychologist, it could be someone in their world that they're able to trust, and with that journey, how they're going. And the other key thing we have also found is if the young people are able to regularly track how they're going, and the people in their world are able to track how they're going, then with SafeWatch, we can actually share some very key insights to parents, to maybe siblings or family members, to the relevant school counselors, to, if they have a psychologist or a psychiatrist, to them as well, so for them to see how they're going. And where the goal is not just to make sure they go from red to orange to green, because there's research that says sometimes when people are struggling and they suddenly shift up to green, that's a very dangerous change. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, young people, and actually even middle-aged people, those who have made a decision that they're going to exit, all of a sudden are very good and happy.
I see.
In the week, yeah.
All right, so maybe we take one more question. Do you think the village approach be effective in a place with high population density, such as Hong Kong?
We're convinced that the village approach would have an immense impact, even in places like Hong Kong, and I'll explain why. We have found through our research, just because people have a big family, so you can come from a family, every weekend there's 30 people there for dinner or what have you, just because you might be part of a large community or a family or a city, it doesn't mean you're not struggling from loneliness. As a matter of fact, most people miss that. They think just because you are popular, or just because you are a celebrity, or just because you come from a family and you see your family every weekend, or just because you won the sports game and you're now the winners or the champion, or you just won the beauty pageant, or you just got the promotion, all these external things is actually very, very different to how someone's feeling inside. And what we're focused on with SafeWatch is allowing people to help them journal and capture how they're feeling on the inside. I used an example before, and that is, it's a mirror. So a mirror is used to help you see what you look on the outside. So we're helping people to track and work out how they're going on the inside. And often it is very different to their external surroundings. As a matter of fact, some of the loneliest people have huge families, have a lot of staff they might work with in a business, and also be in very densely populated areas. Some of the most lonely people.
I see.
So yes.
Thank you so much for your passionate dialogue, Chang. Yeah, we're very looking forward to meeting you in person during our expo in November.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul.
All right. See you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tina Chang from HippoScreen, and thank you very much for having me to introduce the SEA system. So a little bit about myself. I had I majored in psychology and had a master from SUNY Albany in New York, and then worked in New York City Hospital for about 3 years. And then unfortunately I was young and burned out. And then I switched career, got my MBA, and then worked for various multinational in the US and Shanghai for several years. And then come back to Taiwan in 2015 and started my career in medical device, mainly helping the startup companies in Taiwan to showcase their product to the international stage. So a little bit about the company, HippoScreen. It was formed in 2019 by the investment of from Compo Electronic to the research team of Professor Liu. And the company core is AI technology and brainwave processing. So we aim to develop the EEG systems to evaluate brain health and mental health. So having a background in psychology and mental health, I'm really glad it's really meaningful for me personally to be able to join a tech company, med tech company that's trying to promote the overall mental health. Okay, so about my topic today, the SEA system, AI-assisted EEG system for depression screening. So depression is a severe problem globally. So I don't think I need to go through all of this. So because I mean, everyone knows it's a serious problem, and it costs a lot, not to the family and the individual, but also to the society as a whole. And I want to point out something interesting that I found that in US or European countries, I think over 60% people with depression will seek treatment. However, in Asia society, like in Taiwan or Japan, only 30% people will seek help. So the lack of awareness and stigma, I think it's a problem in Asia, a lot more severe than in the Western society. So, and then depression in the elderly. I think I was told that the audience are actually experts in the field. So again, needless to say, depression in the elderly is actually a very severe problem, even worse than depression in general public. Because several reasons, because in the elderly, after you retired and you have more free time and you don't have a focus in life, so you're more prone to get depression. And also in the elderly, the awareness for depression is very weak in the elderly group. So it's actually have a much severe prevalence than in the general public. So historically, depression is screened, diagnosed mainly by doctors, mainly psychiatrists or psychologists evaluation, and also by patients' self-report questionnaire. So a lot of times we fill out different kinds of questionnaire, and then you talk to your doctors, we'll ask you a question, you answer. So this is all good, but the only problem is that if you are not aware, you have zero awareness of your condition, or even you're trying to hide your child because you have the stigma, so you're trying to hide the negative side, so it won't be reported correctly on the questionnaire by self-report. So this is really a pity. So I think for a very long time, the academia and some research doctors have been trying to find out if there are more objective ways, like some kind of biomarker to evaluate depression in people. So what is EEG? So EEG is recording of brain activity. So if you heard of ECG, it's like recording of your heart activity, then EEG is very similar, except that it's recording of your brain activity. So it's often used to monitor like consciousness, the depth of anesthesia, and to diagnose sleep problem and epilepsy, etc. So it is quite sensitive, and it's not easy to interpret. However, thanks to technology, nowadays, due to some technology advancement, EEG can be analyzed more in different ways, more creatively. Thus, more possibility to apply EEG to use on, for example, for the past decade, I think many research papers published on EEG to diagnose mental health and brain conditions. So we developed the stress EEG assessment, the SEA system. The system has two parts, the hardware and the software. The hardware is an 8-channel EEG amplifier. So actually this one, this amplifier, we have already obtained US FDA clearance and also Taiwan FDA clearance a couple years ago. And also it's 13485 certified. And the software takes more time because we need to develop the design, the trial, and then go through the trial and then publish the paper and then validate the trial. So we only get the Taiwan FDA approval last year, I think November 2023, we got the Taiwan FDA approval as the software as medical device, SMD. So it is actually developed using depression data, EEG data collected through collaboration with 3 other medical centers in Taiwan. Next slide, I'll go through a little bit about this. Okay, so the clinical trial structure. So we recruited over 400 people with help of more than 3 medical centers in Taiwan. And then we divided the people into two groups. One is the normal, the healthy, without depression group, and the other group is the depression group. So the depression group, the people in this group are identified by psychiatrists, more than 2 psychiatrists, that this person are confirmed with depression by 2 psychiatrists. So we collect both of the resting state EEG data from these 2 groups of people. And then we also divide within the group, we also divide into training set and test set. So the training set has about like 140 people each. And then the test set has about more than 60 people each group. So we use the training set data in both groups to develop the AI model using a lot of, it's difficult, so I won't go through anything about the technical issue, but it's basically using a lot of algorithm, a lot of different computational method to train the AI model, to build an AI model to be able to make judgment on if a person comes in and takes the EEG and measure the EEG, and the AI model will be able to make a judgment depending on the database that if this person's brainwave looks like someone with depression or someone without depression. So that's basically the logic behind it. So after we build this model, and then we use the testing set people to do the test. So actually, we label the actual, by the ground truth is the label by the psychiatrist. So for the AI model may say, okay, if the SCA thinks this person has depression, and then compare to the psychiatrist diagnosis if this person has depression or not. So this comparison, we found out that this AI model has an accuracy of average about 84% accuracy. So basically you can say that 84% of the times the AI model made the judgment the same with psychiatrists would make. Okay, so the most important part of this system is that the system will generate a score called SEA index. It is a score from 1 to 10. So from 1 to 4, it means low risk of depression. And from 5 to 8, it's like borderline. And if you score 9 or 10, and then it's highly probable that the AI model thinks you have depression. Okay, so the structure, I won't go into detail, but basically the model is placed through on the cloud, and also the computation is done through the cloud. So once we complete the assessment, you can see the result like in 1 minute immediately. So the system collects 90 seconds brainwave to analyze and then produce the SCA index I just mentioned. Okay, so the whole testing process takes about 15 to 20 minutes. And the first step is you wear a EEG cap, and then you fill in some basic information like your age and gender. And then the operator will inject gel onto the electrode. And this step may take more time, like 10 minutes or so, to make sure that each channel, we have 8 channels, each channel signal is working properly. And then follow instruction, the system will told you to stare at the cross on the screen for 90 seconds. And then after all this, the report will be generated instantly. And here I want to mention that the administration of this test doesn't have to be only nurses can do it, or only a certain kind of specialists can do it. No, you just have to be trained by us with proper training. You'll be able to conduct this test. And then some applications. So SCA system, since the inception, actually a couple of years ago until right now, we are now applying using in over 20 hospitals and clinics and different kinds of facilities. So originally, mainly, we work with Department of Psychiatry with large research hospitals in Taiwan. And one of the main use the doctors share with me is that they use on people's having, say, the smiling depression, which means that they have very high function. So even though they're suffering from depression, they can still function fine. So, and also they try to mask it. They try to hide their depression. So it's difficult to diagnose. So this kind of person, usually a lot of times they are of high socioeconomic status, and they're like business owners, professors, doctors, this kind of more high function people. And it's difficult for them to realize, to admit that they are suffering from depression. So if you give them something like more objective kind of testing, it will largely help them to recognize their own situation and so follow the doctor's direction for treatment. And then we also apply this kind of test in sleeping clinic, because in sleep clinic, sleep disorder is often combined with depression. And then we also use in some regional hospital, and also some hospital that involve more like doing more like health checkup, kind of community service to the general public. And then also we use with a lot of psychiatric, mental health clinics. So they have psychiatrists on site and also counselors on site. And this can be used as screening. And most recently, we actually developed this page just to show that we are applying our system in different levels, different kinds of facilities in Taiwan. And like I said, originally we started from the hospitals, the clinic, and then we're now trying to spread to more general public, because I believe the rationale is that if you already walk in to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and then you know to seek help, and then you're most likely you're going to be okay with the treatment. But the problem is, like I said in the beginning, only 30% people with depression will seek help, because most people will not, doesn't have any awareness or will not admit that they have a problem that needs help. So I think the rationale is that if we apply this test to more community-based or to the corporate, to the enterprises, it will be able to help as more like a screening tool, a quick screening tool to raise the awareness. Because I want to stress that the SCA system should not be used as a sole diagnosis system for diagnosis purpose. No, it's more like assistant to assisting the doctor in the hospital, or more like a screening tool in corporation or in community to raise awareness. Because if you score, say, like 5 or above, and then you will have the alert that you should pay more attention to your own mental health. Maybe instead of going to a doctor already, maybe you can start from talking to someone in school, talking to someone in community health center, etc. So in the future, I think our goal is to further, because we're trying to make the test trying to reduce the process time even more. So in the future, we may have a device that doesn't need to inject gel, so that will further reduce the examination time to below 5 minutes, so that it will be able to use generally in the community centers or so. So these are the applications. And then a few minutes left. I want to just talk 2 minutes about another system we're developing. It's for MCI. So it's a stage before the real dementia. So it's not as worse as dementia, but it's already gone out of the normal aging stage. So the general doctors are lacking a tool, like a quick tool to differentiate normal aging and MCI. So we developed this PDR system. This system has two indicators. One is the normal aging probability, and the other is the mild degeneration probability. So we already registered this device on FDA database as computerized cognitive assessment aid. And we are conducting clinical trial in Taiwan and waiting to register the system as SAMD in Taiwan later. Okay, then this is just a quick background about the company HippoScreen Neurotech. And then finally, that's my contact. And thank you very much for listening. I hope the SCA system can bring some insight for your daily application. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina, for sharing with us the details of the SEA system and its innovative application in depression screening. Hello, Tina.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. Let's look at the questions from the audience. The first question is, can the results from the AI screening be integrated into therapeutic approaches or improve the treatment process? Tina, please.
Okay. Yes. Actually, in Taiwan, we're doing now we're working with 4 hospital, 4 PIs to extend this use. So right now in the process of small trials, we're doing the before and after treatment. So before the treatment, we will take the SCA test and have a score. And then after a couple months treatment, and we will do another SCA test and see if there's a improvement in the score. So right now, yes, this is undergoing clinical trial in Taiwan. I believe later on, in about half a year or a year, we will be able to extend the use and to combine it with the treatment so that it will be able to evaluate the treatment effect as well.
Okay. So let's look at the second questions. Do you think this AI screening tool can be integrated with telehealth services in future? Similar questions.
Well, I think the thing is with this assessment, you need to come in physically to a setting, either in a clinic or in a community center, the first time to take the physical test because you need to measure your EEG from the scalp. So it needs to be in physical the first time. However, like I said in earlier, the question before, if the treatment is conducted via a telehealth, for example, online treatment, online CBT treatment, online counseling, then after a few months, you can, of course, come in physically to take the SCA test again and to see how your EEG reflects.
Okay. So the next question is, are there any limitations to the AI-assisted EEG system that mental health professionals should be aware of when using it for screening? That's an important question.
Okay, great. So I will answer it in, I think, 2 points. The first one is that the client base for the clinical trial that we built this AI model, actually we recruited people in Taiwan from age 20 to 70. So, 80. So actually it's a range of age. So we would like to actually extend the use to younger generations. So actually we're planning next year to do extended research, recruit younger generation, maybe between like 15 to 20, so that this application, this SEA test can be applied to younger generation as well. And another thing is that I want to mention again is that this SEA in Taiwan is approved by TFDA, approved for the assistance of the diagnosis of EEG. So this cannot replace doctor diagnosis. It's an assistance to the doctor. So if we use in the screening in the general setting without like out of the hospital, like in corporations or in community, and this will be more like a screening tool, and it won't be a diagnosis tool. It's more like a screening tool. And also, to be cautious is that when we recruit the patient, and it's clearly for depression, not for like bipolar or other schizophrenia or anxiety and different kind of mental illness. We focus on the depression first. So although the depression, bipolar can have the depressed and the maniac period as well, but I think because of the database, the recruitment, the people we base on is people with the depression, not bipolar or anxiety. So for now, I think this is good for screening for depression.
Okay, we get it. All right. The next question. It is interesting to know the system also works for MCI screening. Can you explain a bit more on the results of dementia level it could provide, and any cognitive trainings could be provided from your solutions too?
Okay, first I want to clarify that for our SEA, for the depression or the MCI, we call it BDR, our system name, is just only for assessment. So it doesn't include treatment. So, however, I think it's good to combine this assessment with other, say, online cognitive training, other program. And then after a period of time cognitive training, and you can come back to take the BDR testing again to see how your EEG shows for the cognitive ability. I mean, cognitive state showing by the EEG. So the MCI, if you go back a few pages to in the presentation, you can see there are two scores in this BDR system. So the first score is to show that if your EEG is going already beyond the normal aging, and then the second score is to show that if the EEG is going beyond the mild aging. The mild aging meaning just the MCI stage. So because I think from a lot of clinical doctors that we heard that it's sometimes, or from general practitioner, it's difficult to differentiate normal aging or like range of real MCI, because people get old and then you get forgetful. That's normal aging process. You also get a little bit of cognitive decline because of aging. But when it's go beyond certain degree, and then it will become the MCI. So we have this is the first score, and then if you have MCI already, and it will probably last for a certain time, and then at some point, unfortunately, it might progress into dementia. So the second score is to check if you have MCI, if the MCI is still within the MCI range, or it already went beyond MCI and progressed into the real dementia. So that's the meaning of the two score.
Okay. All right. Let's see the next questions. What areas of research are still needed to validate the AI screening tool for application?
Okay, it's a big question. I mean, now we have application for depression, and then we have application undergoing clinical trial in Taiwan for the MCI, and the next application, we haven't decided the next indication, next mental illness yet. But like I mentioned earlier, that we are expanding the use of, for example, the SEA. We're expanding it from just the diagnose, the screening, to be able to do the treatment evaluation, so the before and after treatment evaluation. And also we're trying to extend the use just for adults and to be able to use to younger generation, to expand the usage. So these are the ones that we are sure for the next 2 years that we're going to do. And this takes actually a lot of research and manpower and money. So it's great that we have a lot we want to do, but for now, that's what we focus on for now. So if you're interested in any collaboration or any suggestion for future research, or you would like to do research with us, please feel free to contact me.
Okay. Thank you, Tina, for sharing with us. There are lots of technical knowledge and consideration in this application. We shall keep in touch and exchange more in the coming next expo.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.